that
This
he took off
conference will now
Instagram.
be recorded.
Whoop. Oh, there you
Oops.
go. Uh, I noticed
I'm
I
recording
noticed
it.
on
Sorry.
his that he'd taken off Instagram, and I'd pulled those off when I did my first one, and then after sitting through a couple of these sessions, realized that if you don't erase the one that's there, you get the Kiwanis International feed.
Right.
So
Hmm.
you might as well leave it up there, and then anything that comes up on Kiwanis International's Instagram feed will also hit your news, and it's just kind of a good thing to keep content flowing through your website
And I just
rather
want to
than
make sure. I just
rather
want to
than
make
just
sure.
being Facebook.
I just want to make sure that I did not remove anything from the site as they sent it to me. The only change I have made so far is just the Bradenton portion of it. I didn't do anything else to it. So what you see is what I have, unless Mac did something and didn't
Well,
realize what he did, actually worked.
well, well, yeah. And the only thing I had gone in and done was I put in our Facebook group and I put in our Twitter feed account and I added a couple of pages for like the meetings and events, but then I went back and couldn't find them again. So I don't know whether they held or not.
Yeah,
No, I
because
can't.
normally they've got three standard ones set up for you: the Facebook link, the Twitter link, and
Right.
the Instagram link. So if you change the other two, you might have gotten rid of the Instagram one, just overwrote it or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I
But
don't know.
yeah,
And I can't
usually
find,
it started with three.
yeah, and I still can't find the information Brett sent me about how to log into the site. So,
Okay.
I'll resend it, Mac.
all right. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, let's go and let's see where we are. So basically, what you need to do, and depending on, really doesn't matter how far along you are at this point, you're going to be going into appearance. This is where you're going to spend a lot of your time. Customize. At least when you initially get your site up and running, you'll spend some time here. So basically, WordPress makes it real easy to edit these elements on the page. There's these little icons, these little blue circular pencil icons. If you click on those will let you edit the element directly to the right of the icon. So if we go, the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to change and update if we need to. Like, for example, if your club has its own Facebook and Twitter and Instagram page, we should update these links, right? So the easiest way to do it is just to click on the little blue pencil icon, and then that's going to open up a little accordion window on the left. And from here, you can go ahead and change the URL for Facebook and for Twitter, and it looks like Instagram was removed here. So the way it works is, if you just look at it, so this is HTML that's showing up here. These HTML tags, but you can see it's Facebook, right? Even if you don't know HTML and you don't need to, this is the Facebook link right here. So in order for us to edit it, we're going to click on this little down arrow, and that's going to expand the edit window, and it's going to provide a URL right here. This looks like it was already, what's been updated already. And but this is where you would go ahead and put in your Facebook URL if you have one. If your club or your district doesn't have a Facebook page, Kiwanis International can help with that, by the way. Our communications department can help you get one started if you don't have one. Just want to throw that out there. But if you do have one, go ahead and enter it now into the URL portion. And I would leave the navigation label alone. That's what makes it look the way it looks, with the text and the Facebook icon here. So let's leave those as is. And so the only thing you want to change is the URL. And then what you're going to notice, as soon as you make that change, this little blue button up here is going to change to mine just says published because I'm not changing anything on this website. But as soon as you make a change, it's going to say publish. Okay, so in order for anything to stick in WordPress, you have to always update or publish, depending on what mode you're in. So in this case, we're going to want to publish after we do everything we need to change. So we change Facebook. I'm going to close that section. I'm going to go down to Instagram or Twitter, and I'm going to expand it. And you can see that the Braden Kiwanis already went in and they added their Twitter URL here, Braden Kiwanis. So you guys want to do the same for your sites. Just go find your Twitter URL and then paste it in here. Leave everything else alone. And then once you're done with all that, all you need to do is click on the publish button. And then those changes will be saved.
Tom, can you show how you add the item so we can do Instagram since it's not there?
Yeah, of course. So what you want to do, well, we're going to go to, I'm going to take, I'm going to put some stuff in the chat for you guys. This is the URL. This is just whatever your Instagram URL is. You don't even necessarily need the one I'm putting in here. I just want to give you the info, give you the pieces you're going to need. You're going to need your Instagram URL, and just as equally as important is this navigation label, because this is what's going to make it show up like it did before. Okay. So you're going to want to copy definitely the navigation label, and all you need is your Instagram URL. Okay. So the way we're going to do this, so this is, I mean, this is the this is our wiki page. So I'm going to go to your site, and you're going to go to add items. And as you can see, these two items are called custom links, right? We want to add another custom link. So all we're going to do here, and all you can, so are one of you all logged into the same site I'm logged into?
No, I for some reason can't get to it in the preview that I'm looking at.
Okay.
Right
Well,
now
if you could put in, I could do it for you if you want. If you just put your Instagram URL into the chat, I'll add it. So what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for that, in link text, I'm going to put that Instagram HTML back in here.
And Tom, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if we have an Instagram account yet.
Okay. Well, what we could do,
Yeah, so that's
for
the
now,
thing. If you're not doing it, then just inherit the one from KI.
yeah. So for now, I'm gonna. Is it okay if I just use the Kiwanis one?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so I just add to menu, and you can see it popped down here on the right, on the left. Sorry, now you can see on the page it's showing up.
Yep.
Okay. Always something I just will keep stressing because it happens. I trip on this all the time because some websites now everything is just like, for example, if you do anything in Google, or most websites now auto save for you, right? You don't even have to. There's no save button on a lot of web applications these days, which is great. WordPress isn't that way. So you have to make sure that you're always publishing as you go, okay?
Get used to hit and publish, yeah.
And so once you publish, then the publish, it'll show it's published, and this will gray out or light blue out or whatever you want to call it, become inactive. This button will become inactive, okay? And so now you have your 3 social links. Once you guys get an Instagram, or either you create an Instagram page or you find out what your URL is, you're just going to go back here, click on custom link for Instagram, and then just add your URL. Just change the URL to be yours, and then you're done.
Copy. That's exactly what I was hoping. Okay, thank you.
Make sure you're welcome. Make sure you hit publish though, so it sticks.
Right.
Okay, good. Okay, so at that point we have all of our social media links set up. We have our club name, we have our charter date, which is great. And at this point, you pretty much have a branded site for the most part. Any questions so far?
The only question I have, and I'm sure you'll get to it, but down in underneath the little girl's faces, it says Facebook posts. So can that show our Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what it's going to do.
So you can get to that whenever. I just wanted to make sure that we're covered.
Yeah, that we're going to do. Go ahead, Byron.
How long does it take to update, too? Because we posted one, and it takes a little while to kind of, so it's not instantaneous. You can't put something on Facebook and jump over here and see it right away, but it does get there. Do you know the time? How long that takes to update?
You can, that's under your control. We're going to do a training on this specifically in March on how to use the Facebook feed and how to create it. We could talk about it at a very high level right now, and Byron, I can answer your question about the fetch time. But
no, that was just something that I noticed. So okay, we can control that. I might be able to find it if I know it's out there.
The blue dot must mean select almost any Facebook page to appear there if you wanted to, right?
Not quite. You need to have ownership of the page. Like you need to, because, and we'll go through this really at a high level, and I could give you guys some do-it-yourself instructions if you wanted to try this before we talk about it in March, how to set it up. But
Tom, I saw this done live at one of the conferences, and it was almost dang near instant posting.
Yeah, you can instant in terms of the Facebook feed showing up, or instant in terms of how fast it took.
Facebook was like almost instantaneously.
Yeah, when you set
that was a demo. They had the refresh rate set pretty low.
Okay.
Pretty high, or however you want to say it, so that people weren't sitting around there waiting for it.
Yeah, and if you guys are like, you're really active on Facebook, you should have a high refresh rate. If you don't, keep it low, just so it takes, just makes your website more performant, because otherwise it's calling out in the background to Facebook every minute. It's causing a lot of chatter on the network. But do whatever's best for you, in your club. But I'll show you how to set that in a sec. The other thing we need to talk about as I work down the page is this tagline. You guys have control over that as well. It's just set now to Kids Need Kiwanis. If you wanted to change it to something else, you just click on the little pencil icon and then go here and change the tagline. And you can see you can also change the logo. We've had varying success of clubs doing it, like changing the logo here. Generally, it doesn't go very well. But if you wanted to, you could do it. Just make sure the logo is the same width and height as this logo, and it's the same kind of high resolution. If you had your own, like for example, if your club had its own logo and it's horizontal and it would fit in this space, then certainly you can change that if you wanted to. But I've seen some things that didn't look that great and we had to fix, because like for example, someone tried to put a square logo in here and it just busted the whole menu a little bit. So just be careful. You can change it, just be aware that if you change it, it might not look great, and then you may have to revert back. So that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to play around, and I think you should. Just if you need to change the logo, you can. We give you that option. The tagline can be changed. This text, we'll get into editing pages, because I think that's going to be the next thing you're going to want to do. And then I want to jump into Facebook and show you how Facebook feed works, and all of that good stuff. Because there's been some questions about that. Anything else before we jump into pages?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I uploaded some photos. Can you see if those stuck in the gallery?
Mac, I saw them yesterday.
Do that. Okay, good. All right, that's all I need to know.
And you know what? We could go through that when we talk about pages. And for example, this is when I did. This is me. I'm in this picture, and my wife is there. We did a service project in West Virginia. We were at the West Virginia District Convention, and we were doing a service project. But that's you guys don't want that picture there. As great of a picture as it is, it's still not your picture. So, well, let's go through pages. So this is where you'll spend a lot of your time as well. So we're going to go to pages, all pages. So everyone click on all pages. And I want to explain a few things that are kind of WordPress things. So most of these pages you see just have blue text, they have the title of the page, right? But some of these have a dash and then a description, like in this case, front page, and in this case, draft, and then another draft, and then a posts page. WordPress is telling you that these are special pages. There's something special about them. So I want to talk about this because it's important that you know what these things mean, what this text means. So front page means this is your home page. I don't know why they don't call it home page. Why it's front page? That's just a WordPress thing. It goes back to the days when WordPress was being created, right? It's just the term they use. So, but when they say front page, think of that as your home page. So if you want to edit the home page, you're going to edit front page. Okay, and that page has special significance because if you just go to k00834.site.quanis.org and that's it, it's going to load front page. That's your home page. Okay, that's the one that WordPress is going to deliver to your users as your home page. If you do anything with front page, if you change it, if you do anything with it, you edit it to the point where it's no longer your home page or front page, then you're going to have a problem because WordPress isn't going to know where your home page is. And I don't know what it's going to do, if it's going to throw a 404, if it's going to just pick another page to be your home page. So keep front pages front page, don't mess with it. That's my advice. If you do mess with it, something goes wrong and it blows up, just put a message in MS Teams or have your district trainer do that and we'll get it fixed. We'll help you fix it. But nothing can be, there's nothing you could do that can't be undone. So just, these are things that'll make your lives a little bit easier though. The things that we've learned working with WordPress, that's all. Draft just means you have a page that's not in publish mode. It's still in draft, so it's not publicly available on your website. Just letting you know that, okay, these sites, these pages you've been working on and you haven't published them yet. So for example, if you're like, where the heck is the meeting as an events page? Why can't I see it? If you could see here, it's still in draft. And that's why you can't see it.
That's why I couldn't find it.
It's in draft. So you could preview it all you want, which is a good idea until you're ready to let it go live. And then you'd want to publish it. And we could talk about how it gets put into the menu and all of that good stuff as well as part of this conversation. We'll use meeting and events. So it's meeting. We'll talk about meetings and events second. The first thing we should do is we should go to the home page, and if you hover over Kiwanis Club of Demo, we're gonna want to change that too, right? We don't want to call this Kiwanis Club of Demo. We want to call it Kiwanis Club of Bradenton, right, or whatever you want to call it. So we're gonna click on Edit. And we're going to go into edit mode for that page. So when you first enter a page, it's going to give you this little helpful little dialog box that tells you about the wonderful world of content blocks and how they work. I'm just going to show you how it works. You could scroll through these tips if you want to get more information about it. This is a really cool editor in WordPress, and it makes things super easy to work with and add content to your page. So basically, I'm going to hover over these little sections. So you can see we have a header, or sorry, like a heading here called Kiwanis Club of Demo. All you do is you go in here and you change the text. So we could do that now, or you guys could do it later. It's totally up to you. But you just type in like you would into a Word document. Okay?
Go ahead and type in Kiwanis Club of Bradenton, and then I will go ahead and change it so I'd learn how to edit.
Okay, so I'll just leave it then.
Okay.
Or do you want me to
Just
change it?
You just take away demo and put Bradenton, Bradenton.
Okay.
And that'll force me or Mac to go in and change it so that we're getting used to working with it.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And then you have a paragraph, some paragraph text here you can change, whatever you want to do there. But these are all they're all content blocks. As soon as you click into one of these blocks, you're going to see a few things happen. One is that you get some text alignment options here. Right now it's left align, and that's what I recommend you keep it as. You can bold text, you can add links, you can italicize, you can add an inline image, you can add HTML code if you wanted to. And if you click on these three vertical ellipses, it gives you more information, more things you can do here. You could duplicate this text block. So if you wanted to add another paragraph, you could just duplicate this one. So you have a lot of options that you should explore once you get into these text blocks and see what you can do. Let's say this image, obviously, as great as it is, it really doesn't reflect your club, right? So if you wanted to change that image, you can certainly do that. what we could do is we could just remove this block because we don't need it. I wonder if we could just replace. Okay, let's just remove it. Okay, so you could remove it just by going to these vertical ellipses and then clicking on remove block. And do you guys have an image in your media library you want to put on your homepage?
Yes, there's a couple in there, I believe.
Okay, well, let's do this. So we know that there's something in there we're going to use. Before we do that, let's add a content block, because everything in WordPress has to be in some sort of a block, right? Either an image block or a paragraph block or a text like a header block. Everything is a block, okay, a content block. And the way you add a content block is you go up to the top left and where it says there's a little plus icon, click add block. And then it's going to say, okay, well, what kind of block do you want to add? It's going to give you the most common blocks, the most used. But if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to get a lot more options here. So if you wanted to do something that's not listed in common in the most used section, just navigate through these and see what's available. There are hundreds of different content blocks you can use. It's pretty powerful in terms of what you can add to your website. In this case, we just want to add an image, right? So I'm going to click on image, and it's going to put this edit block in here, and it's going to say, okay. So we have two options. We can upload an image from our computer, or we can upload an image that we have a URL for, or we can go to our media library. So in our case, it sounds like we've uploaded some images to our media library. By the way, that's where all of your stuff goes. That's where your images go. That's where your PDFs go. Any kind of digital file will go in your media library, not just images, okay? So let's click on media library and see if we can find this image.
Your pleasure, Mac.
So you can see that the header images are already in here, right? The ones that we cycle through, and then there's some other ones that look new, like this one looks new. Yeah. This one is new.
Yeah, just use that one, Tom.
This one right here. Okay.
Yeah, the one you have checked.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna also use this as an opportunity to talk about Americans with Disability Act and how you want to make your site ADA compliant. Okay.
That's one of my questions. I had messaged Scott Apple the other day. So is it compliant?
No site will be compliant out of the box because it's really contingent. It's dependent upon how you enter your content. So I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to make your site ADA compliant.
Perfect.
So WordPress is a modern web platform. So it has all of the modern formatting, the HTML tags that ADA requires. But where it lies on us to make our site ADA compliant is how we enter content. So one of the biggest things you could do to kind of support ADA is whenever you upload an image, you want to make sure that there's alt text and a description and a caption if you want. A caption will show up below the image, okay, that describes what the image is, because people with a disability, like a visual disability, they can't see the image, so they need their device to speak the image description to them, right? So if you to make one of the things that's important for ADA compliance is to add descriptive alternate text. So if you were to describe this photo to someone who couldn't see it, how would you describe it in a sentence or two?
A list of the charitable grants
awarded by Bradenton Kiwanis.
Right.
And what can we do about the actual image itself, like
logos,
club with
organization logos?
We would say it's on like ivory paper with blue Kiwanis logo in middle. And are those sponsors on the left and the right?
Those are the awardees, recipients.
I know I'm making some typos here. I'll fix it.
Sorry.
Don't worry, we'll go in and edit it.
Yep.
Okay.
Are there limits on how long it can be?
No. Nope. Knock yourself out. So the more complex of a picture you have, the more detailed your description should be.
Mhm.
So that's just alternate text. That's not going to be the caption.
No, and you don't need a caption, by the way, unless
Oh,
you really
okay.
want one. A caption helps though, because an ADA reader will read the caption.
Okay.
So we could talk about the caption. The caption doesn't have to be as descriptive as alt text, right? Because no one needs
Right.
to read 3 sentences of alt text in a caption. But what I want to do next is keep in mind alt text is an absolute requirement. Caption is not. It's optional. Description is also not required. But this is what WordPress uses when you want to search your media library. See up here it says search media items. It uses whatever you put in your description to help find those images. So let's say not now, but let's say in a year from now when you have
Yeah,
hundreds
you got to
of
give it a tag to be able to find.
Yeah, right. It's like tagging your images, right? So what WordPress does is it takes your description and it makes tags or tokens out of these words that aren't like and, with, in, conjunction words. It takes
Right.
and makes labels out of all of these, or tags out of these other words. So when you search, you're looking for that photo, you didn't know where it was, you'd be able to find it easier in search if you have a description, okay? And I'm going to we'll keep the caption because you guys put it in there. I'm just going to capitalize the I. And so that's basically it. So we're going to select that image and it's going to go in place.
We have subdirectories of media photos and such?
No, out of the box, WordPress does not do that.
Pretty much all the same place, so you have to be able to sort them if you want to find something.
Right. That's why it's really important to put your description, put your description in there. And if you want it to be more more tag oriented with your descriptions, you can do that. Just make sure your keywords, your search keywords, are in your description. That's the only thing I'm going to recommend.
So the only way they're organized is the order in which they are put into the media
Yes.
library. It doesn't sort them by title or anything.
No.
Okay.
We could look at that and see if there's a way to sort in that way. I haven't messed with it that much, to be honest. But you can see here's your caption underneath. Here's your photo. And then we have another block. I'll leave this up to you guys to play with this some more. But any questions so far about what we've done? If you wanted to link, go ahead.
Some people are using cell phones and things with small screens, and of course others have big computers. So do the images automatically adjust?
Yeah. So that's a good question. Great question. So this web template is mobile first, which means it's responsive, and I can show you what I mean. I know you guys know what responsive means, but what you could do in your browsers, if you were to shrink the web page down, you could see how it fits, how it looks on different size screens. So it's a mobile first design, and the images are part of that. So let's go to preview really quick to make sure we like what we see really quick before we publish it.
So while you're doing that, can extensions be used with this version?
We'll talk about plugins. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay. Right.
So what I'm doing now is I'm just shrinking the browser down, and you can see how the image resizes, and you can see how the menu is now
phone.
a waffle, or I forget. This is called something else, not a waffle. This has a name. I forget. A hamburger.
Pancakes.
Or a pancake. I think they call it I think it's a hamburger or a pancake or whatever. That's what happens on your phone or your iPad or your tablet when you
Yeah, you guys should just get your phones out and look at it.
Yeah.
So you can see that this is
still got that picture. I don't see the You haven't published the thing that it's. I don't see
No.
the charitable awards. I see the old picture that was there.
Oh, you guys are you not looking at what I'm looking at? Oh, because we didn't. It's not published yet.
Not published.
Yes, it
yeah.
hasn't
But
been
I just
published.
pulled it up on the phone, on my phone.
Yeah, it's not published. So you're not going to see it. I'm seeing it because I'm editing the page. So I'm going to go to edit. I like it. You guys like it? Should we publish it?
Yes, publish it.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to edit page. So that's your also, since you're logged in as a webmaster, you're going to have all of these quick links up here to help you. So I like. Oh, what happened here? Oh, view the autosave. Let's see. Yeah. So this is comparing what the page used to look like and what we changed to it.
Oh, okay.
And so it basically, when I got out of that mode, it didn't know what to do with the changes we made. So it was asking me, do you want to restore those changes you
Okay.
made? If I
Now I
said
see it on my
no, it would
phone.
revert back to the old version, which we don't want. So we want this, right? So we're gonna click update. And we're going to go to, now it shows me that the page has been updated, and now I can view the page. And
Yeah, it updated it on my phone.
okay, cool.
Now that I can see it.
And so there we are. Okay.
And basically on the phone, it just sort of takes the news feed and everything, puts it down underneath it.
Yeah, it just takes everything and just puts it in one vertical plane. So it's looking pretty good. So any questions so far about what we've done? No, okay. So as a homework assignment, what I would recommend is you guys go through and you keep the current page structure the way it is and just add content to these pages. Change the images, change the text. Under what we do, like for example, these are just scholarships that my club offered, and you don't need to keep those pages. You can get rid of those if you don't want them. This just talks about scholarships, and if your club does scholarships, then you'd want to I'd edit this page. If they don't, you could remove it. I could show you how to remove it from the menu in a sec.
Yeah. Here's a question that just popped in my head because we talked about this yesterday. If and when we drop Portal Buzz and we have that domain name that we've been using for years and years, can that somehow be transferred to this? Does it have to be this club number, or can we go back to our BradenandKiwanis.org and
Good question.
I was told yes, but that was at one of the conferences.
And that is true. Like you can, but so a few things you can do that, but let me explain how it's done and why it has to be done that way. So these URLs that we have, this key number .site.kiwanis.org, those are unique identifiers for your club. It's kind of like your address, your
Right.
unique address. So those we cannot change. Even though Bradenton, .kiwanis.org, there may be only one ever, we can't be sure of that, and we certainly want to keep some sort of consistency with the way these clubs are named and these sites are named. So for one, if they're easy to find, we don't need to kind of, what did they name their club? We can just know. All we need, like Byron was asking, okay, what was your key number? And then he was able to go and pull up your website. But I agree that these don't roll off the tongue, right? and no one is going to remember. If you told someone that or put that up on a PowerPoint, no one's going to remember your website, and we understand that.
Not to mention they can't find it on, if they Google Bradenton Kiwanis, if we don't, because that's our BradentonKiwanis.org is our website.
Yeah.
Right.
Why don't you show them Hiawatha-crew.org? See how that works. Because this is what I did. We had our DNS names set up. Google looking for High Crew Kiwanis, which is Hiawatha Kiwanis, and so we kept that. But when you actually come to the site, it just redirects it to the K
Right.
whatever.
That's what I was wondering.
Okay.
It's like an alias or something that you can point.
Well, yeah, I mean, so it's still, as far as the world's concerned, you'll still be BradentonKiwanis.org or whatever.
Mhm.
But when you come there, if they look
Right.
at it, they're going to go, well, what's K0083?
Right. Right.
But as far as getting there with a common name, the normal known name, you can still do that.
Yeah, and we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Because we want to build our site, and when we're ready to go live,
exactly.
that'll probably be one of the last questions that we think. But I just need to
Yeah.
know if we still can use, like Max said, the Bradenton Kiwanis.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you absolutely
Yeah,
can.
It just takes a little doing to get Google to let go of the old Portal Buzz site and take you to the new one.
Yeah.
That's where I struggled a little bit.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but can be done.
Can somebody help us with that when we get there?
Yeah, we'll do a training on that. But Byron, if you could put in your I know there's a few more clubs that have done that, like dawnbusters.org have done it. If you want to put in your URL, your your human URL into the chat, then everyone can see it and they can see how it works. Basically, what it's called a domain forward. So it's not an alias in the sense that it just masks like the content or the URL. It actually takes the human readable domain, like in this case, hiawatha-crew.org. So if we take this, everyone should see it. In their chat. And it's okay.
The firm that has your name, right, that registered originally, probably has an IP address associated with it. And if you change that, then of course it will go to your new address.
Right, and that's essentially what a domain forward does. And so I'll explain how you can do that in a sec. But you can see in the browser I have Byron's. This is his highly indexed website. Google knows all about it, right? And we don't want to lose any of that search, organic search credibility we've built up over the years, right? And same with Bradenton. We don't want to lose any of that. So, and you won't, because what Google's going to say is they're going to say, okay, they know hiawatha.crew.org. They know about that website. So when you go there, it's going to do a domain forward, and it's basically behind the scenes. It's telling Google or whoever goes to hiawatha-crew, like the browser, it's doing a redirect. In this case, it's a permanent redirect to this site. So it tells Google, okay, well, that was the old site. Here's the new one. And so you don't lose any of your search cred that you've built up, organic search cred that you've built up over the years. And now eventually what's going to happen is that that high-crew URLs, you're going to stop seeing those in Google, as you're going to start seeing the k.site.kiwanis.org as the website URL over time, as Google gets smart and understands, okay, sees enough of those redirects and goes, okay, they've moved the site to this K site. So it's important that you guys have good titles on all of your pages and that you have really relevant content, because that's what people see when they search. So that's also very important. And we have an SEO, there's a do-it-yourself SEO module on the wiki site that I definitely recommend you take a look at. But anyway, so yes, it can be done. Depending on where you're hosting your web domain right now, it can be real easy, or it takes a little bit of work. with your domain holder. But for example, GoDaddy, they've got a whole, you just search for domain forwarding and then your hosting provider, or not, or domain provider, because you may not, your hosting provider does not matter. What matters is where your domain is being held, okay? So that's wherever you pay your yearly renewal or your every 3-year renewal, domain renewal to, that's the company you want to work with for your domain forward.
So that means if you're with Portabuzz, they hold that.
They should not hold
No.
your domain name.
Okay.
You should have, like, for example, I could show you really quick. We could do this really quickly. We're going to geek out a little bit right here.
All right.
Yeah, so basically we bought our domain name from GoDaddy, all right? And then you just tell GoDaddy, that's
Right.
our domain name, this is the IP address to send it to.
Okay.
So
if you, all of my nerds on the call, if you could do this in, I'm on a Mac, so you can open up a terminal, and the command is whois, and then you put in the domain name after that. And it's going to tell you where that domain, who owns it, and who's sitting on it. So, for example, is it Bradenton? Which URL which domain name are we curious about?
We use BradentonKiwanis.org.
Just like that. I know it's probably hard to see.
Yes.
yeah, that's really small.
I'm going to try to. How's that?
There you go.
So so the command is whois space and then the URL. I think you can do it in Windows too, but I don't know if the whois command. This is like a Unix command. I don't. Windows.
You guys are geeking me out.
There's Linux. But basically, Mac is basically it's basically BSD, which is a flavor of Unix. So that's why all these Unix and Linux commands work on Mac. Windows has an emulator for those commands. Like I think it's CG Win or something like that. If you're curious, if you want to geek out, let me know on Windows and I can get you set up. But basically, with this, when you run whois, it basically goes out to the domain registry and it tells us who owns this domain name. So as we scroll down, you want to, it gives us an administrative contact, which is
GoDaddy.
Director of Operations, Compliance, Customer Support, Senior Director of DNS Infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. And it says that
It's through GoDaddy. I saw that. So.
Yeah, right
so
there.
GoDaddy, and it gives you your domain ID.
Mm-hmm.
So someone, I would hope, in the Bradenton Club has the GoDaddy login for this website, for this
Probably
domain
not.
name, because you're going to need it. If you don't, you're going to want to contact GoDaddy, and they're going to want to verify who you are before they'll even talk to you about the domain name.
Right.
So I put some of this in chat because you're going to need the domain ID.
Mac Terry probably has it.
Probably.
And it also gives you the expiration date. So it expires in a couple years, and just a lot of information about it. So you guys are in control of this. So Portabuzz, basically, they have the DNS from GoDaddy. They know what the IP address is for this, and they are doing the DNS on their side, so they're able to host that URL, that domain on their Portabuzz site. But that's something that you have total control over. So, for example, once you log into GoDaddy, you're going to see that domain is pointed to the Portabuzz servers. You could change that to point to wherever you want. You could have it point to another website. You can do whatever you want. So you're in total control over that. But this is how
So we would point it to how you logged in to do with the club number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's my geek.
Getting them to update it is pretty easy. It's getting Google to like catch up with the change that you made that's the harder part. Getting it switched is easy. Call them and tell them to switch it.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
can
if
do
you
it
have,
online too.
You just get a bunch of members to start pointing and go into the right place and flood it.
you could
Well, there was
pretty much,
some deal where you had to go in and tell. I mean, I'm going to have to do it again and remind myself how I did it the first time. But yeah, there's a way to go in and tell Google to double check. Rethink this. Don't let it just happen organically.
Yeah.
there's basically you want to flush pages out of Google. Um, you can remove URLs. There's lots of ways you can do it. You can basically tell Google, hey, give them a heads up that you're doing this, and they will.
We were contacted by Google, and basically they want to sell you additional ads on your page. But give them the basic information, it's up pretty quickly.
Yeah, they are basically a marketing company.
Is there any possibility of getting information transfer from Portal Buzz?
You mean
Content transfer?
like how?
Copy and paste the HTML is about the best you can do.
Question, because we've got a lot of stuff on there.
So you're asking, well, how do I get all of this content from point A to point B, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have Macs by any chance?
Yes, I do.
Know someone who has a Mac?
Mac has a Mac.
That's what I use. Mac uses a Mac. Of course he does.
Okay. I'm going to recommend SiteSucker for that. What SiteSucker does is you point your URL to it, and it goes through. It's basically like Googlebot. It goes through and traverses your website and copies all of the images and all of the text. I think it might just copy the HTML, although I'm not 100% sure. And it stores it all on your local machine. So at that point, you're dealing with digital files, and you can manipulate those. There are tools out there that will remove HTML tags from a page. So let's say SiteSucker gives you everything back in HTML. You can remove all of the HTML with you just Google remove HTML. Like a programmer editor will do that. There's a lot of free ones out there that will do it, or even websites where you can take your content and upload it, and it'll strip all the HTML tags out. Then you're just left with the content of those pages, and that makes it a lot easier to work with. So I would definitely use SiteSucker for that, especially if you have a lot of pages on your website, because that could take months to actually do manually.
What about the media content? We've got years and years of photos on there. Is that going to be a individual download, or can we?
No, you could do a mass upload into WordPress.
Okay, great.
And the way you would do that is, for example, if we went to, I'm just gonna update this again. I'm getting paranoid. If we go to media, I'm just gonna go to add new. Let's say in your case, let's say you've downloaded all of those images, you have them on your machine, and you're ready to get them into your media library. Just click add new, and then it's going to give you a drop area where you can just drop your files on, and that's right in here.
Okay.
On Portal Buzz, we have all images in a single file, right? So if we could just copy the content of that file, that would give you images. And similarly, all of your attached documents are in a single file. You probably copy all of those. But of course, it's the text content on all the pages and the arrangement that gets time consuming.
Yeah, that's why you'd want to use some sort of extraction tool. And then from there, decide, what is site, I'm going to stick with SiteSucker because I've used it in the past and it works really well. How you want to export those. It may actually strip those tags for you. I haven't used it in several versions, so you might be able to, with SiteSucker, export those pages as just plain text, or you might be able to just take the HTML and, like I said, strip the tags out of it. Then you just have plain text. And also when you do that, make sure that you're not pasting those into a Word document, because Word
Right.
adds high ASCII characters that web browsers cannot understand. And that's when you go to some websites, you see all those weird looking characters. You're like, what is that next to the text? Like, especially near quotes.
Yeah.
Like in Brett's emails.
Yeah, so and that's from
Yep.
copying Word documents into like an email, like a web browser email client, for example. Some of them can't, they don't know what to do with those characters, and they don't strip them. So what you want to do is use, like, if you're on Windows, use Notepad. So you could take, for example, you could take a Word document, text, and you could copy it and paste it into Notepad. Notepad is an ASCII editor. It's going to remove all of those high ASCII characters automatically for you, and then paste into your website from your Notepad document. So you want to save everything as .txt files and not doc files.
Right.
Just a heads up to save you a headache later when you start seeing all these weird characters all over the website.
Yeah.
That's a pain in the butt to have to fix after the fact.
Yeah. And like on the photos, I found this one extension. It's Filebird. It makes folders so that you can better organize that stuff.
Oh, perfect. As far as images, when you upload images, upload them as JPEGs, just as a heads up.
Mm-hmm.
Some, like Photoshop, will give you a quick export option as a PNG, which is great if you're using like a vector, like if you have a logo or something. But anything like a photo, like a lifestyle photo with people or nature or anything that Kiwanis is all about people and kids, those all should be JPEGs.
All right.
They'll keep your file size down. Pings are really, it's a vector format, but if you have a really complex photo, Ping has to store a lot of information. The compression is not really designed for those types of photos. It use PNGs for logos. It use JPEG for everything else, basically.
You can't copy.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
When you upload your photos, make sure they're in JPEG format. JPG.
Every time you save a JPEG file, it gets degraded. So that's the reason you'd prefer PNG, right?
I'll put it in the chat. I don't know why JPEG is. I'm getting censored on JPEG. Let's see.
Well, for
JPEG has a compression feature that basically deletes part of the data every time you save it.
Right, depending on the photo, depending on the file format you're using, they have different compression algorithms that are designed for certain types of subject matter in the photo or the image. It's Ping for logos.
If you save a document over and over again, it's a JPEG. Eventually, you get to the point where it's nothing.
It's like a Xerox machine.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
With and the GIFs, they will, they're designed for that size, and it muddies them if you make them smaller. If they get larger, they become super pixelated, so you want to stay away from them.
Yeah, GIFs are, you would want to use a PNG over a GIF, unless, God forbid, we're using an animated GIF for some reason, which I don't recommend. Back when the web, you guys remember those websites from the 90s? You can find them too if you go use the Wayback Machine. There's some websites that are full of
Mr.
animated
Peabody.
GIFs. It looks like it looks like a pinball machine. That's a lot of that was animated GIFs.
Mm-hmm.
But you really don't need those on a website like this, or any website for that matter, unless it's a funny website. And but GIF is, it's a low resolution file format. Use PNG instead. Most browsers, most devices now can handle high resolution PNGs. GIFs are just, They do the animation. That's one thing that they do that other file formats don't do. But who wants, you don't really need
Yeah.
that, I don't think. But all right, so that's how you would do a multiple. That's how you would upload multiple files to your media library. You just drag them right on here. There is a maximum file upload size of 40 megabytes. Keep that in mind. Like before you upload your images, make sure they're not they're large. If they're larger than 40 megs, chances are you need to put them through Photoshop and you need to optimize those. And in JPEG, you can have the quality go from 80 down to, you'd be okay down to like 60 or 50. You really don't see a difference until you get past 50 on the low side. But also check your image sizes too, because if it's, the image is wider than like 1,000 pixels, you probably need to resize that image. But anyway, just keep in mind the maximum file upload size, and you could do mass upload here.
Yeah, you don't need that larger resolution if you're going to run it across a web page.
No.
One thing if you're going to blow it up into a 10 by 10 photo on your wall or something, but
yeah, you just need, a good quality image. I would use Photoshop as much as possible for those to make sure that they're optimized for the web. And also to recap, make sure that you add your alt image, your alt text description, and a caption if you want a caption. Okay. All right. Any other questions on photos and that good stuff? Any questions for the last? I think I talked about editing pages. We didn't get into the menu. Should we talk about Facebook feed or should we talk about manipulating pages in the menu? What do you guys want to do?
I think, well, it's up to everybody. That maybe the next time you can show us the one you didn't get to today.
Yeah. We have 20 minutes, so I could go through at a very high level. I can go through basically how the Facebook feed works. So you guys can go ahead and start getting ready for that change, and I can also get you ready for the calendar if you haven't set up your calendar yet. I think that would be a good use of 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone who has a website, it's got their page, their site loaded. We're going to go into Facebook feed settings. I'm just rechecking. Our license, by the way, has been renewed, so don't worry about it. just click on the refresh button and you'll be okay. As it said, it was expiring in 2 days. That's probably freaking everyone out. It's actually renewed it. Okay, so a few things to know. You have to be an administrator on your Facebook page in order to get your access token. And that's how this works. So basically, that's what this blue button is here. It says log in and get my access token, which is what this is down here. That's something that's generated on the Facebook side. So in order to do that, you have to, it helps if you're already logged in. Let's say you have another tab and you're logged in to your Bradenton Facebook page. You have to be not only logged, well, when I say logged in, I'm assuming that means you're an administrator, right? So you have to be able to go and edit content on your Facebook page. If you're not an administrator, have your administrator give you those rights because you're going to need that. And then from there, well, before you do anything, I would copy and save off the Facebook page ID. This is the Kiwanis Facebook page ID. You want to copy that and save it, and copy and save this access token. Let's say something blows up and it doesn't work. You can always revert back to the Kiwanis Facebook feed. That way you don't have a broken Facebook feed on your website. And again, save these in Notepad or save them in a Google Doc. You save in a Google Doc, if you copy out of here and paste in a Google Doc, you're not going to have any high ASCII characters. It'll all be ASCII text. So, and that's
and you can use Text Wrangler too, can't you?
Absolutely. That's a great
or text edit, either one.
text edit. Those are all TextMate's another one that I use. Yes, any one of those is perfect. And if you're on Windows, use Notepad or Notepad++ if you're a real geek.
Mhm.
And if you're not a geek, you might turn into one if you use Notepad++. It's just it's a programmer's editor basically. So it's nice even if you're not a programmer and don't care about that kind of stuff. It just gives you some nice options. You can add extensions to do things like strip HTML tags. So you can do some cool text editing with it that you can't do with other editors. And it doesn't add any weird characters to your text, which is beautiful. Okay, so my first suggestion, first advice, bit of advice is to save off the Facebook page ID and the Facebook access token. So save those, put them somewhere where they can be saved. And I'm going to use TextMate for that, which is just a Mac programmer editor. Because I'm about to go in and make some changes, so I don't want to lose anything. That goes saved off, and if I was really smart, I would save that file, but I'm not going to. I have these. This is saved off already on my hard drive someplace. So what you're going to do, let's say you're logged in. Now, if you're logged in to your Facebook page, we could do this right now. It doesn't take that long. That's up to you, or you could wait. But I'm going to show you how you do it. You go log in, get my access token. And you should be on two-factor authentication. If you're not, make sure that you are. And it's going to text you a code, right? Or if you use Authenticator, which is an app, an iOS app, it will send the code to your phone. I'm looking for it right now. Where is it? I've got like so many of these on so many accounts. It's not in my Authenticator. So what I'll do instead is I'll have them text me a login code. And then you're going to get a text message with a 6 to 7 digit code. 6278. I'm not going to save it. And then you just continue. And then it's going to present you with all of the Facebook pages that you have admin rights to. In a sec, as soon as this loads. And you can see this is something that's not very intuitive. Right under this green little box that just popped up, there are two websites, Kiwanis International and then my home club, right? Make sure, now in your case, you're going to have whatever sites you have access to. So you're going to have your personal, just depends what sites you have admin rights to. I don't think personal club or personal Facebook pages show up here because I don't see mine. I just see the organizations that I'm related to here. You would just select the one you want. And then if you don't do that, it's not going to update the token down here, and you're going to go, why does it still show the Kiwanis International page? Why doesn't it show mine? So make sure that you click on whatever, if you have, especially if you have more than one, you click on the right one. I'm not going to save anything because it's already set up, but that's how you basically get the feed set up to your page. But you're not quite. I think that's all you have to do. We'll double check.
Well, but then down at the bottom, that's the part where they were talking about earlier, how often it refreshes.
Yeah. So here mine is set. Our wiki site is set to refresh once an hour. or when the page loads. So you could have it set up so whenever someone hits your page, it's going out to Facebook and getting the latest. So you can, it's either that when the page loads.
Does it have it by minutes, I assume?
Yeah, you could actually have it. So this is really informative. It says, it explains what when page load, what it does, and when in the background does. In the background basically just checks.
Okay.
You can have it check in the background every 30 minutes. When the page loads, you can have it check every
X
15
number of
minutes.
minutes.
It just, if you're doing like Byron said, if someone is doing a presentation, if they're building a site in real time and they want to show the Facebook feed, in real time, then you'd want to set this to like every minute. You'd go in and you'd set this to every minute and then save it and then do your presentation, and then later you'd want to change this. To whatever. The other thing you could do is you can always save settings and clear cache. That will do an automatic flush and bring in the latest posts. So you can also, some other things in settings that are important is you could show, as far as what shows up in your feed, you only want posts shown by you, where you're the owner, or page owner plus other people, only other people. The page owner is basically going to get just about everything. You can play around with these though, and you can also decide how many posts you want to display in your feed. If your club is very active, you can bump that up. And so basically, just play around with these settings, and you kind of see what they do. And then let's see. I wanted to explain. Someone was asking me about plugins, and that's kind of, I'm going to segue into that. Any questions about getting an access token?
Yeah, Tom, just a quick question. So I have to have a Facebook account to make these changes?
Yes, you do. And you in addition to having your own Facebook account, you need to be added to your club's Facebook page as an administrator. So whoever runs you,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. If I don't have an account, which I don't really want to get.
Well, just have somebody else get the key for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is just to establish the link so that when our website here goes out to Facebook, it knows which feed to pull in, right? Because right now it's just doing the Kiwanis International feed.
I thought it did that for the mapping you did earlier in the day. It's one of the very first things you showed us. What's the difference in this and what you did earlier, other than setting some settings down here underneath there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that was like we're telling the name of. We're going to go to Facebook, but it's going to go based on the settings, the Facebook ID and the Facebook access token that you set up on this page. So just setting up the little link at the top just says, well, if you click this, we're going to take you to Facebook, but it's still going to refer to the settings to tell you where on Facebook we're going to take you.
So these settings have to be in there for that link to work at the top of your page?
Yes.
Well, it depends what, I think I know what you mean. So you're talking about this link up here, right?
On your home page, right there. So when you click that, it's going to refer to the settings that we just set up to take you to a particular page in Facebook.
Right. So so whatever pages you have access to or your admin has access to for your club, those are so basically, since you don't want a Facebook page, and I don't blame you, what I would do is have whoever runs your Facebook for your club, have them sit down, log into the website just like we are here, save off the Facebook page ID and the Facebook access token like we did, save them in some sort of text file like this, and then
Give them to you.
have them log in, like Byron said, to their Facebook account first, open in a new tab, and then click this button, and then select the club that you guys want the feed from, and then this stuff will auto-populate based on which one of those that you select.
Okay.
You only have, but yeah, so that way you don't have to. It's a one-time setup, so you just need that person with you for like 5 or 10 minutes. Do it at a club meeting even, and then you'd have what you need there. And that is, that's the first part of it. If we go to, I wanted to show you one other thing. Widgets. I mentioned, someone was asking about extensions, which are basically what WordPress calls those plugins. And I'll explain plugins in a second, but this that Facebook feed that we're seeing on the website, that is a widget, and it's called Facebook Post widget. And if you click on it, so there's two steps. One is doing all of that stuff and getting an access token and all that good stuff, but we're not done yet. If you do all of that and you're still not going to see your Facebook feed, what you have to do is you go into appearance, and then under default sidebar, because that's where these are just things on the left. These are just things you can add to your page. We're not going to touch any of these things right now. We're just going to go with what's already been done, and that's the default sidebar. The default sidebar is this right column right here. Okay, so that's what default sidebar is, and it includes the search widget, and then right underneath it we have our Facebook post, and then under that we have our calendar feed. Okay, what you need to do is you need to take your Facebook feed ID and change it, because right now it's still set to Kiwanis. Do you remember when we were looking at those two pieces of information? One was the Facebook ID, which was Kiwanis, and then we had the token, which is this long string of random characters, right? You're going to get a unique page ID once you have your person, or you do it yourself. Once you generate that token, you want to put whatever that is, you want to replace Kiwanis with that. Keep everything else exactly the way it is. Once you do those two things, you will see your Facebook feed. But you have to remember to do both of those things.
What does the search box search?
Searches all the content on your page. So it basically, I'm not sure what content is on here, but if we looked at about, for example, let's look at the about page.
If it's on the Facebook setup page, you would think it searches Facebook, right?
No, it doesn't search what's in Facebook. It searches all of your text that you've uploaded, that you've created. So let's say you want to search for
that was actually a separate widget from the Facebook feed, right? So if you the search box is up there, Facebook is down on the right-hand side. See how you've got search right there, but it's a separate widget.
Yeah, exactly. I can see what you mean though, because it looks like it's connected to Facebook.
But it's a site search, right?
It's a site search.
Site search. Yeah.
Well, I searched mission, and we got the about page because it talks about mission, and it'll highlight the keywords that it found. So that's just your site search. It doesn't do anything on Facebook. It doesn't, for example, like, it would be really cool if it did this, but it doesn't. it doesn't search the text in your Facebook feed,
Right.
because all of that text is database. So this is doing a database search, and this text is not database. This is just, we're just pulling this in real time or close to real time. So the search doesn't know anything about that text. So this is being recorded, by the way. So I will post this in the district trainers group, and so you guys can review it, especially for the Facebook thing, because we kind of went through the whole how to set up Facebook today.
Thank you. It's been very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. And anyone who is not a district trainer, would you just put your email addresses in the chat so I could send you a link to the video, to the recording, if you want it. If you don't want it, that's okay. But if you do want a copy of the recording, I will send you a URL to it. If you're a district trainer, you can just go to the district trainer site and it'll be there. But if you're not a district trainer, like I know Paul will be added to the district trainer site, but I don't think he's there yet.
It's actually Carl. There's a Paul on the line, but my name's Carl, okay?
Okay, Carl. I know Paul in particular was asking, is with MoArc and was onboarded yesterday. So yeah, just send me, okay, good. I'm seeing some email addresses popping in here. That's great. Just everyone please get them in there, and then send you a copy of the video once GoToMeeting spins it up and processes.
Where do I find Training 101?
I will send you a link to that one as well.
Okay.
Yes, this is Brett too, and I'm going to need that as well.
Okay, I will send everyone.
Yeah, send them links to everything.
Yeah, I'll give you a link to everything. So if you can't fall asleep at night, just watch some of those videos and it'll put you right out.
Hey, Tom, Jeff.
Okay, and as far as if new MoArc clubs decide that they would like to set up a website, how do we do that?
They could just submit a club club site request form, just like you did.
Or you want them? I'm supposed to train them, or are you going to train them? How are we going to do that?
The district trainers will train them. So that's you, I think. Once you're ready.
Okay.
So my responsibility is to train all the district trainers and be, and helps, and we all support each other, right? We all support each other. Byron is in the training group. He asks, he answers a lot of questions, and so we're all there to help each other. So that's the place to go. So, you're ready and you feel comfortable.
Yeah, as a district trainer, you'd be the first line of defense, and then Tom would be our second.
Yeah, and one other quick,
the team's website.
One other quick question before you go. As secretary, I'm always making use of the meeting attendance and other things that are not directly right out of the secretary dashboard. How does that work on here, or is that something separate I have to use?
Okay, so you're talking about functionality that Portabuzz has that we don't really have in the secretary dashboard at this moment, and how do you replace that functionality?
Correct, because they have that whole section. Like, we've got 160 members. We have, between 50 and 100 members that show up every week, and I use that attendance feature to make sure I get everybody recorded. So I'm just wondering how that moves over, if that's a Portabuzz feature and like all the membership information and all that stuff.
The membership information is part of reporting.kiwanis1.org. Like the secretary dashboard, you should be able to get member directories and rosters there. As far as the collaboration piece that I know Portabuzz has for like doing email, like mass emailing, all of that will need to be, well, I'll tell you long term, the next 18 months, we're moving all the clubs onto Salesforce for that stuff. And so you'll have, Byron said not to overpromise or anything, so I'll try to keep it. But I'll say that there's about 400 features that they're specifically for clubs and members that they will be able to take advantage of. And all of those things that you mentioned as far as collaboration and communication are in there. And then hundreds of other things you can do. So we just kind of bridge that time to the
Okay.
space a little bit. So what I would say is try to do that in Google Docs. If you really wanted to, if you
It's
really
just
wanted
so
to,
easy to go in and check people off when they come in.
what you can do is so these WordPress sites that we're looking at, we're building, these are supposed to be public facing websites. They're not supposed to be for club
Right. Well, I
business.
understand that. Yeah. But I'm just trying to figure out how I, as a secretary, can take care of all the back end stuff that I'm used to doing.
You could do, WordPress will let you create a file that's password protected or a page that's password protected. Even on these current what we've released, you can do that if you want to, and you could do it there. We could talk about forums, Gravity Forums, which will be next month, and maybe behind a login. But again, I don't want to recreate Portal Buzz
Right.
here, so I'm kind of nervous about.
Right. I understand.
I'm
Is
trying
this
to
stuff
make it
that's
right.
going to, is this stuff that when you mentioned Salesforce, is this something that some of these features are going to be moved over to that, and that's going to be a cost?
Won't be any cost. It'll be just a part of being a Quanian.
Okay.
You'll just log in.
So is
like you do.
Secretary Dashboard going to change with Salesforce?
Oh yeah, it goes away because everything is done inside Salesforce then.
Okay, and that's, you're going to have ready next year?
About 18
Said
months.
18 months?
Yeah. About a year and a
Okay.
half-ish. So there'll be a lot of training. Salesforce, if you haven't used it, is very intuitive. We understand that it's going to be different for everyone. So we'll have training, and we've got that all. We're on top of all of that. But I just wanted to give you a
Okay.
heads up.
All right.
And at ICON this year, we're gonna have a preview of what's coming with Salesforce. So if you're coming to Indianapolis, you'll be able to check that out in the exhibitor booth.
Should probably be easier than the switch from paper to online stuff.
Yeah,
was
it will be.
Hey,
entertaining.
Tom.
Yeah, it
Tom.
will be.
Tom, it's
Yes, sir.
Dave Crozier here. We're over, but I've got one quick question,
Right.
which is about WordPress add-ins, especially one called the WP Edit, which adds a lot of functionality. Can we get some add-ins added?
They, generally speaking, yes, but it's very it's dependent on a few things. One, the functionality, because WordPress is because we're working on a multi-site WordPress installation, which means all of the clubs share the same resources. So in other words, if I install and activate a plugin for your club, that means all the clubs get that plugin. It's not, I can't just give it to you and not to the other clubs. So because it affects all of the clubs in the operating
It's the overhead with it too.
The overhead, right? So some of those plugins are really great, like the ones we installed. So we have plugins. We have the Facebook feed as a plugin, the calendar as a plugin, as an example. Those two are.
Have you guys taken a look at WP Edit? Which gives you all the formatting capabilities like Word on creating tables and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's pretty limiting what you can do in a page without some kind of ability to format. And WP Edit lets you do that.
I would be happy to take a look at it.
Yeah.
And I do get requests for things like, like share this, for example. Some clubs want to be able to share certain pages, have users share certain pages on their Facebook or their social pages. And so I got a request for that.
Yeah. Well, if you get a chance, check out the Filebird for these media library folders, so we just don't have a bunch of scattered images all over the place.
I can look at those. I look at them and I look at a few things. I look at the vendor that's providing the plugin, how long they've been around, and how quick and how often they update their plugin, and what kind of reviews it gets. And then I also look at the code for the plugin. I look at the database,
Sure.
the queries it's running to make sure it's not doing like select star from the database, things that are going to affect everybody.
Ouch.
And some of them are not designed by computer scientists. They're
Right.
designed by, teenagers. And
Well,
not just a teenager. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, oh
not
yeah,
that-
I understand. There's a bunch, when I go into this site, there's a bunch of them. It's at this colorlib.com that has several different organizers. Just a thought.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and one of the powers of WordPress is all the add-ins, and some of them are created by professional companies and are quite valuable, right? WordPress,
they are.
Yeah.
and WordPress without the icons is really limiting, right? Or WordPress without the add-ins, sorry, is really limiting.
Oh yeah. It's just the basics that you hang all the bells and whistles off of.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, if you can take a look at WordPress edit, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Let us know. Thanks.
I will absolutely look at that, and I'll look at Filebird. I do know Filebird or other plugins like that create a lot of overhead because they put file structure, like directory structures in the database, and it becomes that's something I'll tell you that probably isn't going to happen based on what I've seen with other ones.
And it may not be something for everybody, but for some of us who've been around for a long time and have images.
Yeah,
I understand. I get it.
That are organized, just a whole gallery of pictures to choose from.
I understand.
I'd have
I would
to
say
use tags and searches to kind of cut things down and group things up and whatnot. That might work.
Yeah. Damn.
There's ways I think to kind of get around that limitation. But yeah, so it's a dance we have to have with WordPress and the plugins to make sure that not only are they going to work today, but they're going to work down, in 5 years from now, and also that they're not going to bog down the system. As much as we're trying to, we have the system, on AWS, and we have very robust architecture. A plugin can cause havoc on a system, so we're just being very careful about what we introduce.
Especially as you scale this up to everybody.
Yeah, because right now we're only at 10% of our. I think we're going to be around 2,000. Right now we're at 250. So I'm guessing we're going to be around 2,000 clubs, and that's just Kiwanis clubs. If key clubs want to get in and CKI wants to get in, it's going to exponentially grow from there. So, I'm just trying to keep everyone in a good working environment, and so. But I understand what you guys are saying, and I get it. So especially with the tables, because I know out of the box WordPress has crappy tables. It's not something that it was almost like an afterthought. They didn't really put much effort into the tables for sure. Okay, well, thanks all for attending. I collected everyone's email address, and thank you all so much for attending. I know we went over a little bit, so I appreciate you hanging out with me a little extra today. And if you need anything, reach out to me in Teams. You got my email address. You should. If you need to contact me via email about anything, if it's club site related, try to keep it in the team so everyone can see those messages. So if I don't have an answer right away, someone else might, which is a really efficient way to get things done, I think. And I will send those videos, those recordings, to everyone that sent me their email address, and I will post it in the district trainers chat as well, so district trainers can get a copy of it as well. And please check the training calendar for next month. I have 2 more trainings scheduled, so please have
March
a look.
the 20th.
Mark the calendar. Yep, and I think the 27th. They're a week. I think they're back to back. So check your calendars, and hopefully you can make those. We're going to talk about forums, and we can talk about Facebook feed more and actually get into calendars. So it should be fun.
All right, thanks. See you guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It was very informative.
Glad you liked it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep.